A season of blood, sweat, and tears comes to a culmination. Resurgent South Carolina is eyeing their first CCSA title, while Florida State looks to finish off their dominant run in Huntsville. It's the CCSA Beach Volleyball Championship next on ESPN. The trophy has arrived on the beaches here in Huntsville, Alabama for today's title showdown. South Carolina gutted their way through the losers bracket to reach the title game. FSU has been nearly perfect over the last 2 days. Now it's time to crown a champion in Huntsville. Welcome to the Bank Plus Studios here in New Orleans with Shelby Coppage. I'm Noah Frary. Florida State has looked dominant at these championships. Shelby, they've won all 8 flights that have gone to completion, including sweeping South Carolina. If you're the Gamecock, Shelby, you're hot. How do you rewrite the script here in the final? 18 apiece here as they switch sides in Huntsville. Switch of sides after every 7 points in sets 1 and 2, trying to combat some of those weather conditions that you've been talking about.
That's why it's so important for these players to switch sides so often. Otherwise, you literally would not have a fair duel.
So 18-17 after the score correction. Cranford and Waugh continuing to lead. Waugh gets to her feet, kept alive. Set up for Waugh again at the net, navigates the block as South Carolina regrows the lead to 2.
I like the intensity that Cranford and Waugh are bringing, how they're coming together after each point and really staying in the play, especially when FSU covered their own ball.
So Cranford and Waugh hoping to score a first set victory here at the threes. They lost 21-15 in the opening set earlier in these championships to this same pairing. Florida State still battling.
And FSU had to go without Jermaine and Chacon for almost half this season, another pair that was deeply affecting the team through injuries. And Brooke Niles said the fact that they're back and healthy is going to be one of the X factors for FSU.
Yeah, these two had never played together coming into the championship. They've gone 2-0 so far. Here's Waugh again, dumps over. South Carolina trying to hang on.
What a reach by Chacon. The fact that she can get that high in the air and still have hang time, you don't really see that in beach because by the sand, you're basically forced to come down much faster than indoor.
And a net ace for Florida State, taking us to set point at the threes. Florida State trying to complete the comeback and secure their 4th first set victory here to begin this championship match. Waugh trying to keep it alive for the Gamecocks, and does.
And you can see why Julia Waugh received a CCSA Freshman of the Year honors. She has that high IQ. She reads the defense across the net and punishes them for biting on the wrong read of her.
Even more impressive, she missed a large portion of this season due to injury.
Quality, not quantity, I'm sure she would say.
That's fair. Heavy swing there for Cranford. South Carolina back in the lead.
And Cranford, as someone Mortis said, will bounce balls on you. You got to get stopped, and FSU does have a big block, but if it's not set perfectly, she's going to punish you.
And a kill there for Skylar Jermaine. So tied at 21, and they will switch sides at the threes.
For those just tuning in, we have seen 2 sets this tournament go to 29 points. So don't think you're going anywhere anytime soon.
Think this one is?
I think it's going to 34.
That's a high number. I'll take the under.
You just never know with these teams, especially when they're on, and both coaches said that when my team is on, we can beat anybody in the country, and this is the moment they're talking about.
Important in these tight sets to try to grab that momentum very quickly.
And not to lose it, especially after a timeout.
Serve from Chacon. Here's Cranford. Now Germain at the net, over the block. Dump to the back corner and long. And Florida State has their second set point upcoming.
And we talk about good errors and bad error. That was not a good error for South Carolina, just way too deep. I get you want to try and hit the line, but it wasn't even close.
So set point for the Seminoles here at the threes. Cranford into the block, sent back over, and Florida State comes from behind to take the opening set at the threes.
And Chacon's that player that's been with FSU for 5 years. She's comfortable. She knows Brooke Niles' style, and she's completely calm in high-pressure situations, especially at the end of a set.
So Florida State coming out strong once again as they eye bringing back a trophy to Tallahassee. Let's go double box now. Allen and Whiteside's continuing to have a strong start to this flight over Anderson and Durish at the ones. They won the first set easily, leading 7-3 in the second. Bengochea and Trust starting to fight against Moon and Truslow. Bengochea with a swing in the bottom portion of your screen. And Florida State clawing a point back on the left-hand side. Joey, I love when we go split screen because it just shows how much fun this sport is. All of the action taking place at once. It's a lot of fun to broadcast. I'm just going to say it.
It's so interesting for Beach how many different games are going on in one. So many matches that the coach really has to attend to, and that's why it's important for these own players to be their leader.
You have to self-regulate yourself of sorts.
It's a lot of self-discipline. I'm sure that translates into your life off the court as well.
Good response from South Carolina at the ones and at the fives, regaining the lead.
In the second set, especially for South Carolina, is when you might see wrong reads, tips and rolls. They're tired. Their legs have been used all morning. FSU's entering with fresh legs. So be looking out if FSU's going to start picking on South Carolina's energy.
Heavy serve from Bengochea at the fives. Back for Truslow. She goes up to Moon and gets it back and deposits that one on the back line. So action continuing at the ones and fives. It is as well at the fours where Koenig and White have gotten off to a much better start here in the second set as they're threatening to secure an opening point for Florida State. Have to secure 3 points. We will play to decision today, meaning after 3 points have been secured, this title match would be over. South Carolina playing in their first ever CCSA championship game. Florida State trying to win their 7th title in the last 8 seasons.
Great hustle by Downs and Yamagata. Again, we talk about how you think in Beach, a lot of the balls are down. When players just go for it, half the time they are getting these balls up in this tournament.
We got a tight one here in the second set at the twos. Florida State pairing, taking that opening set. Hansen and Long trailing though here in the second. Hansen pulls, couldn't handle the fastball there from Allison Cones.
And Hansen was still in transition when that contact made. It's impossible to avoid all the time, but that's why it's important your read, which means you're stopped by the time contact is happening by your opponent.
And by read, you're talking about making the decision a little quicker.
Decision, basically picking on the court, where am I gonna stand and try and think this ball is going to.
That one nearly went over the net, now tipped over, kept up. Tipping going on here at the twos. And that one into the net for Long as the lead for South Carolina grows to 3.
Right now, FSU is clearly frustrated. If I'm Cones and Mackenhausen, I'm trying to get in your head. I'm going to keep making you run everywhere. I'm going to prepare for those tips and rolls.
South Carolina probably does not have a path to the NCAA tournament without winning this championship. Florida State, they're a lock, the 4th-ranked team in the country. They're a favorite to get to the final this year in the NCAAs. Maybe that added pressure helps you a little bit if you're South Carolina, Shelby.
Some teams, like people, do their best with their backs against the wall. It's how you handle pressure. And especially for the juniors and seniors, they've learned what that feeling feels like.
Nice up. Sent over. South Carolina into the block.